on the new TPP Viewer for both association and club. My name is John Stern, and we'll be going through all the functionality and uses of this new exciting GIN product. This product came about because we wanted to streamline all of the many options and settings that are available in the old Clubhouse viewer. So in order to make it much easier to use, especially at the club level side of things, we wanted to give the clubs a really nice product that's very easy to use and access. The old Clubhouse viewer is still fully functional and intact, functioning the way it always has. So that's still available, especially through the association version, except for on the club side of things where we replace the button link to direct itself to the new viewer. So we're going to first go through the association side of things and then look at the TPP club. Please note that this is the first release, and right now it only supports individual and team stroke play events. Our next release upcoming will focus on individual and team flighted scoring, as well as with match play to follow a similar release type of schedule. In the future, we'll update you more as the schedules and releases come about and more actual dates are firmed up. Also, lastly, the session is being recorded, so if you have any questions after the demo, please get in touch with GIN support, as they'd be happy to help you in any way and assist in whatever questions you may have. All right. First, as I mentioned, we're going to go through the association viewer site. I have 2 tournaments set up. One is an individual event, 2015 TPP Viewer individual event, and the other one is a 2015 TPP Viewer team event. So first we're going to look at the individual side of things. So we'll go ahead and select this tournament. I've gone through the pairings and the scoring for this tournament. If we look at the scoring, player scoring for the event, we see that we have 2 rounds that have been scored, and we did the scoring individual player hole-by-hole scoring. And if we look at the scoring options here, we'll see that we have hole-by-hole scores, and I have it set to show net results because it's we're going to display both gross and net on the TPP viewer. From here, once all the scores have been entered, the next thing we need to do is set up our scoring website setup. The viewer is going to use the settings that have been set up based on what you have in scoring website setup. So we have our round selected here for both round and for round 1 and round 2. And then in the scoring setup, we have it set for players. And our scoring method, we have our option to do gross and net, or gross and net, so we'll select that. And the type of score would be gross and net. Down the road, in addition to match play scoring, we'll be able to display stable for points down the road also. And from here, display settings. This is how we want to display the information that's being set up within the viewer. How we want to display the name, I have it set to first name last, but you have your other choices. And also, what player details do we want to display? We have the same options of club name, city, city and state. Those types of things are available to display. And for this option, we'll use club name. And then the other options that come into play, what I mentioned, flights is something that's not currently available, so we'll not sort the leaderboard in flight order. So as soon as I have the settings I need, based on what I want to display, I'll click Save, and that will save my scoring option settings. So now we'll jump over to the viewer. Oh, one other item, I have to go backtrack a little bit. In order to get a user, very important, a user into TPP Online Viewer, we need to go to Other, and we have to set up an on-course user. It's not going to allow access with just a regular admin username and password. You have to actually set up an on-course user. And there are many that have been set up. And to set up an on-course user, just click Add On-Course User, and then you can add an on-course user that will have access to the TPP viewer. I've already gone in and set one up. Here we have one. If I go ahead and edit here, I can see all I have to do is enter a username, an email address, and a name of the person, and activate the person, and then it will ask you for a password also. And we see that if I add an on-course user, username, email address, user's name, password, and confirm password. So those are how you access the TPP viewer. So we'll go to the association viewer here. Very important. I know in the blog it said put in an association name. What that means is what the letters are for you to access your admin site. Here I'm using the GIN site, so I have GHIN, whatever your golf association, Southern Cal, SCGA, Northern Cal, NCGA, etc. So those are what you would use as your URL to access the new viewer. As I said, the old Clubhouse viewer is still intact, so that would be accessible in the normal way. All right, we go into our new user. And we'll put in my password. We're going to go into the new viewer site. All right, when you first go in, what the program's going to do is search your tournaments that you have listed, and it's going to search for the most relevant tournament. It's going to default in that manner. Tournaments that are in the future that haven't been scored yet, those types of things, it's going to search for them first. And it's picked up, tournaments that have been in April and in May, and one that goes through February through November, maybe a type of league play or something like that. But if you want to find a specific tournament in a specific season, you can do so. So I can click on season here, and I can do the drop down to get to my 2015 TPP viewer season. And that will allow me to utilize any of these tournaments within the season. So we're going to look at the individual event first, so I'm going to select that. And then if you notice, as soon as I selected the event, the move to steps on the bottom right highlighted blue, which allows me to go on to the next screen. So I can go to the next screen here. As I said, stroke play is the only type of tournament currently available to display the information. So I can select that for stroke. And then I have my scoring method options. I can do gross only, net only, or gross and net scrolling at the same time. So we'll select gross and net. And as soon as I select that, the move to step highlights in blue. If I need to go back and select a different tournament, I can do that also. While we have these blue options here, I could also click the tab on the top to go back to select my tournament also. So we'll move on to the next step here. And this is the selection screen where we have lots of options to choose how we want to display our information on the leaderboard. All right. We have many nice default options to select from here. As I scroll down, the arrow will display other types of screens that will allow me to choose from. These are the original default screens that we're displaying here. And then we have our new display screens that were part of this new release. And each of the sections, it shows how many people on a leaderboard will display: 5, 10, 5 in name. That's like 10 there, and maybe a little more. So you have all these different types of displays. In addition to that, we have the interval of how we want the leaderboard to scroll the information. For demonstration purposes, we'll put in like 8 seconds. And then our next selection is how we want the logos to display. You have a choice to put 2 logos on each of the leaderboard selections. So we'll go ahead and upload a new logo here. We'll select this option for the one on the left-hand side. We'll browse out, and which will bring you into your computer. And I have a Pinehurst logo from last year that we'll put in. And we'll open that. And then we'll set a right logo. We'll upload a new one. We'll browse out once again to find that logo. And we'll put in a USGA logo. So we will have the Pinehurst logo on the right and the USGA logo on the left. Now from here, if I want to display one of these new screens, I can go ahead and select that. If I scroll up a little bit, I see that selected. I could select this one also. And so we'll go ahead and see what this looks like. So we'll run this leaderboard. And here's one thing to note. If you notice when I put the logo in on the right, the blue USJ logo, there wasn't an option to put a transparent logo in. So that would be something, if you wanted to use a transparent logo, that would be something that you would have to do in the logo before you imported it. Whereas I believe on the old Clubhouse viewer, you do have an option to set the logo transparent. Might be a development item, something down the road. All right, but the screen looks pretty good. First, as you can see, it's scrolling through. We'll hit F11 to make the screen nice and big for us. As it's scrolling through, we can see that it's now going into the net scores after going through the gross scores first. And it's displaying the player information on the net scores. And when it reaches the end, it'll go back through and start scrolling the net score, gross scores again. Okay, so we'll hit F11 and get out of this one, and we'll look at another one. We'll select this one down at the end because it'll display the player information. So we'll go ahead and run this leaderboard. And we can see that it's using the detailed information that we provided for it to utilize within TPP Online Association web setup. So it's picking up the club information now. All right, let's look at a couple other features now. I'll hit F11 just so you can see the big screen again. And just as a note right now, I'm running this in 1024. Now, we'll go ahead and close this one, and we could select another item. If we do not want to use one of the standard backgrounds, we can uncheck this box here. But we also still need to use to the type of the leaderboard that we need to display. So we still need to select a leaderboard, but we're going to put a different background on it. Right? In order to do so, as soon as you uncheck that option, it sets up an option here. Do you want to use a background? It defaults to no. If you use no, you can use it and it'll display just the black background. But if you want to upload your own picture, you can do so also. Upload new picture, you get the browse out, and we can go in and select the picture we want to bring in. I have this nice picture from Hawaii that we're going to bring in. And as I mentioned, you have to select the type of leaderboard, but it's going to have a different background now. So we'll go ahead and run this leaderboard. And there we have the nice fairway background with the same leaderboard that displays the background. And it's going to scroll through just as the items we had before. Pretty neat. All right, one other thing you can do that's pretty interesting. All right, we'll go back into the viewer. Right now I have 2 browser sessions open. So I'll sign into this browser session. And we'll log into this browser session. Okay, here we go. We're logged in. We'll select the individual here, and we'll have stroke play. Now this is 2 browser sessions. Think of it as being on 2 different screens. So for this leaderboard, we'll do gross only, and we'll select our screen and run this leaderboard. And then we'll minimize this. And then we'll go into our other leaderboard. And we'll go back to configuration. And we'll do net only for this one. And we'll select our leaderboard with our nice background. And we'll run this one. So think of this on 2 different leaderboards. We can run one board that does gross, and we can do the other board with net if there are 2 different leaderboards that would be available. So just an option that's not really available with the current viewer to display 2 different leaderboards at one time. The reason being is that when you make the settings in the old Clubhouse viewer, it automatically refreshes because it's a specific setting of what you're displaying. And also, you could only display only net or only gross within the old leaderboard. So that is a really nice feature where you can display both on 2 different leaderboards. And one last item we'll look at is just the black background where there's no image in the background, just to see how that looks. We'll use one of the other leaderboards now. We'll select this one, and we'll run this leaderboard, just so you can get an idea of the options to choose from here. All right, that's the association side of things for individual stroke play. So let's go ahead and look at team. We'll go back into the tournament pairing program, and we'll go select the team tournament, and we have our 2015 viewer team event. It's important that this is set up properly within scoring website setup for a team event. We've done the scoring. We're running it as a 4-ball, so we've done the scoring, individual hole-by-hole scoring. If we look at our scoring options for this team event, we've set it up for hole-by-hole scores, list and team order, team group is teams, and as soon as you set up scoring for teams, you have the option to select how you want to score the event. For this one, we're doing one best ball, and we're showing net results. So we'll go ahead and save that, and we can see that the scores have been entered for the players hole by hole. All right, back to scoring website setup. Just like an individual player scoring, we need to set up the team scoring in the same manner. Select which round you're currently in, and this time we're selecting team groups as player team group selection. Also, scoring method is gross and net, or you can do gross and net individually, and then score type is type of score is gross and net. Team round setup. Here we have to select default's the best score, I believe, so you need to go in the drop down, select best ball. And the last item here are your display settings, how we want to display information. Whereas players was utilized on the left-hand side, the team stuff is utilized on the right-hand side. So we have team display. We can do last name first, first name last, or we could just use the last name of the players for the team name, and that's what I'm going to select to use. And then we have the option check show overall player results for best ball. So we'll go ahead and save that. And it's important that you have the options selected properly, or else you won't get the team option to display in the scoring setup. So we'll go back to select tournament, and now we'll refresh this, and we'll go into our (2015) TPP Viewer team event. And we'll go on to our next step. And now we see, because of the way we have website scoring set up, we have a new option on the left-hand side here, display mode. I can display teams, or since I enter player information, I can display player information as well. And that's where this split screen, or the multiple screens, would come into play too, where you could have one screen show your player scores and the other screen show your team scores. So you have the option to do both. And once we select stroke play, we can go and select how we want to display the information, gross and net at the same time. And so we'll move on to the next step, and we can upload a new logo. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll put in the GIN logo this time. All the association logos are contained in the logos folder. Images, association pictures, and we'll go down and pick up the GIN logo and open that. And so we have the GIN logo. If we use existing, you can set up multiple logos within this. So I can go through this and set up multiple logos to select from for each of my tournaments that I run. So they'll all be held. Oh, somebody got penguins in there. Pretty nice logo. So we'll go ahead and select that one. And then from here, I'll run my scoreboard, and I can run the leaderboard now. Here we can see the logos displaying and our team information. And as I said, if I wanted to go in and set this up for the individual player information, I can do that as well. Select my 2015 Team Viewer event, and we'll do Struck Play. Let's refresh. Oh, look at that. And we could do our players also. Now that we've gone through and did a run through of the team and individual player leaderboards with TPP Viewer for the association, now it's time to take a look at the club. As I mentioned, TPP Viewer is available for the old one. Clubhouse Viewer is still available for the club. And as a reminder, this is accessed through an administrator account. And all the functionality is currently still available for the old viewer. And as we go into TPP Online for Club, one item to note is that on the new splash screen that we have the button for the TPP Viewer. So that's now part of the button screen. And it's going to go, as soon as I click that, it will go into the viewer. All right, from here, we're going to go into the administration splash screen. So we're going to go set up a tournament. I have the same 2 tournaments set up. We're going to sign into a test club. So, and we have the same 2 tournaments that are available. And we have the same options. So we'll go ahead and select the 2015 TPP Viewer individual event. So we'll go ahead and select that. And we have it set up in the same manner, 2 rounds of stroke play. Same type of scoring, and now that we have everything is on the left-hand side for our menus, we have to go to scoring here. We'll look at player scoring. One nice feature about player scoring, you can arrow up and down through, and it'll highlight the players that you want to score in yellow. So that's a nice feature that was added. And look at round 2. We have the player scores added for round 2. Just like in the association version, you have to set up your scoring website setup to display the information that you want. In this case, we'll have round 1 and round 2 because both rounds are scored. And then we can go into our scoring setup, how we want to display the information, players. We'll do both gross and net for the display. And then our display settings, how we want the information to display. First name last, we'll display it in that manner. And then what we want to display on the player report details. Maybe we want to put city and state on. So we can do that also. And once we have the information saved that we want to display, we can go ahead and save that information. So we'll go ahead into the viewer. Oh, once again, in order to access the viewer, we must go to Other, and we must also set up a on-course user. So we'll go ahead and add an on-course user. The same type of information needs to be entered: username, email address, name, and password to be using for the on-course access. We're changing the password here. And now we'll go ahead and log on to the viewer. We'll go out to it from the TPP Viewer option. I think I had multiple password accessing. And then we're into the viewer for the club. Now that we're in the viewer for the club, once again, it'll default to most relevant as your tournament selection. But we're going to go into the season, the 2015 TPP Club Viewer season. And we'll go ahead and select our individual event. All the selections are the same as they were for the association version. I have our stroke play and our selection to do gross and net. And all the other selections are identical. You have the option to uncheck and to not use the standard backgrounds that are available. All the current standard backgrounds that are in the association version are existing for the club version. And they have also the same options to load logos. Use existing. I have no logo saved, so I could browse out and get my association logo or my individual club logo. So I have all those information available too, so I can browse out, and now I can run my leaderboard. It told me I didn't have a logo available. That's a smart program. So here's my leaderboard, doing my gross scores, and then it'll go into the net scores. You can see that it's scrolling the net scores also at the same time, so it does both. And we also get our leader for the day. So it's doing both. Now, I want to go and do my team tournament selection now. So I have a team tournament selected here. We'll select my team tournament. And we'll go into my 2015 TPP Viewer team event. And we just have one round of stroke play. Once again, the scoring. We've gone into player scoring. And our scores have been entered player hole by hole. Also, my scoring options. I have the same type of setup with team group. And then I have my scoring method, one best ball. And then if I want to show net results, I can do that also. So I'll go ahead and save that information. If I click on the edit here, it will show my scores, my net score information, my team score information. So you have all the information about how your team scores were entered. Next, of course, we have to go into our scoring website setup to make sure we have the information set up the way we do. My first round is selected, so I should be good to go. This is going to be a good way where you could troubleshoot if your clubs are having issues not being able to display team results. And here's a good little exercise we're going to go through to display how that's going to work. All right, so we'll select our 2015 TPP Viewer team event. I'll select that, so we'll move on to our next step. And so I'm going to select stroke play. As you can see, we have our options for stroke play, net only, gross and net. But we don't have our option on the left-hand side to select the team. So that means something in scoring website setup is not configured properly. So if you wanted to troubleshoot the actual viewer site, you would have to create yourself a username and password in OnCourse for this club. But a quick way to check is use your overall association administrator account to go into the club information and look at how they have their scoring setup set up. So if we go to scoring setup, we have to make sure our team group is teams. Very important. And then the scoring method would be both gross and net. Next tab, team round setup. As I said, it defaults to best score, so we want to use best ball and one best ball. Lastly, display settings. We want to show how we want to display the information. For this, we want to do last name for the team to display, and we want to make sure show player best ball results are checked, and any of the other options you can also select. But those are the main ones for teams, so we'll go ahead and save that. Now we'll go into our quick start wizard. We'll go back to tournament selection. We'll refresh this and go back into our season, our 2015 Clubhouse Viewer season, Club Viewer season. It's used to saying Clubhouse. And now we see our display mode, because we made that selection within website scoring, is now available to display in team. So that's a quick way to troubleshoot if your club might be having trouble getting the leaderboard to display the information that they want. And now I can go through and select my leaderboard and go ahead and run it. Nice, very nice. Looks good. We'll let it scroll a little bit so everybody gets the full view and full feel for what we have here. And then it'll load and display the net scores. And as I said, the clubs have the same option also, where they can open one session with the team information. So we'll go ahead and hit F11 on this one. And then they can open another session. And then we can do our season. And we can select the team event. And then we can do one gross and net just for player results. No, doesn't seem to be jumping out, but you get the idea. All right. As I said, Chin Support would be happy to answer any questions you have on this session today. As I said, also said, it's being recorded, so it'll be available on the info portal. In addition, the session on the refacing of TPP Club will be available on the info portal. Also on the info portal, Fran has designed user guides for both TPP Club and for the viewer. So both those items will be available on the info portal. I believe sometime this afternoon, pretty much like right after the session is completed. I'd like to thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedules during this soon-to-be busy golfing season. I know some places on the East Coast got a little snow, like in Boston over the weekend, and I understand the Midwest was quite cold. We actually had a little snow where I live this morning in New Jersey. So I thank you, and everybody have a great day.